Hi, everybody, again. Welcome to our final meeting during this first week of your arrival and quarantine. And yeah, so today we are gathering last time online. And we'll talk with you a little. We'll give you some overview of the program, everything we did during this week, the meetings that we had, and the records that we shared with you. And also we will we'll ask you a few questions. We will be more than happy to answer your questions if you will think of something while we'll go through the overview or in between. So yeah, that's the plans for today. I'm just checking with my colleagues if they would like to add something before I will start with the presentation. Sarah, Yakov, Anat, who would like to share something, or we will just move on. We'll move on. Okay, so as promised, a short overview of the program, and then we will continue. Please close your microphones if you're not speaking, just for us not to have noises in the background. And yeah, whenever you feel like saying something, force open and share it. So we started our program after our welcoming meeting with a record on the Israeli background. We shared with you some information related to the culture and holidays and ethnic groups, and there are a few tips that we gave by the end of this record related to Israeli culture, and they are related to the way of Israeli communicate, which often being very direct communication. People are very straightforward. They also used to speak quickly, loud, and don't have any additional time for the gestures. So they're very straightforward. They will call you by your first name. Less would use ma'am or mister, if not at all, even not by your last name. So it's a normal behavior here that you will be approached directly. So also be minded of that. And also you should know that I think Sarah also mentioned it during her meetings that Israeli are also very touchy. It's very common touches with friends, and even not with friends, but people want to feel friendly and warmly, as it happens in Middle East. They have a need, an urge to give you some touch on your shoulder or something like that. And if you feel not comfortable with it, don't hesitate to set boundaries that will feel comfortable for you as well. And last reminder that Israelis use body language a lot. So also need to now remember that. Now, after our virtual tour through a few places in the central cities in Israel, we also talk with you about a special card which called Ravkav, which literally means multi-line, and it's been used in public transportation. So everybody in Israel, in order to use public transportation, needs to have this card. It's very easy to purchase it. You can purchase almost everywhere, even in a small shop. But you need to know there are two types of craft card. It can be anonymous, and then you can purchase everywhere, or it can be personal, that you need to purchase in central stations or sometimes at the big malls. And the advantage of the personal cards that if you have some money on this card, and if you lose this card, then you can go to another central place. Your lost card would be blocked, and you can regain for 5 shekel new card, and all the money that you had on this card be installed back on your new card. So for that matter, it's preferred, but you can also decide what is more useful for you, and just need to know that it's better for you to have it, even though you not need to travel for work, most likely because you're taking care of other. But whenever you need to go somewhere, you will need this card, so it's good for you to just have it. Um, You want to do this one? Sorry, but you're on mute. You're on mute.
Okay. So a quick review of what we spoke about. What are the basic values we're giving? We talked about human dignity, autonomy, talked about being tolerant, not judgmental, and being empathetic. We spoke about compassion, of course, and of care. Really. We also discussed intercultural encounters, cultural differences are differences in traditions, food, norms, beliefs, values, which vary between nations, people, ethnic groups, and speakers of different languages. Every culture has its own way of expressing itself. And as Margareta said, in Israel, we use a lot of body language. We have a lot of gestures. And if you haven't come across this gesture yet with your hand, very important to learn this one. It means just a minute, rega, rega, as we say in Hebrew. And yeah, very important to learn that one. And every culture has its own way of expressing itself, obviously through language, body language, gestures. Every culture has its way of defining conflict, passing messages, resolving conflict, and talking about it or not talking about it. We obviously recommend, being open and talking about it. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I think that what Margareta said about being personalized in Israel, we're not very formal, and we kind of call each other by first name, no matter how old we are. And I think in other cultures, there are titles. Um, in my background, I lived in the United States for many years, and my children call aunts and uncles, uncle this and uncle that, and to Israelis it sounds very strange, and so you'll get used to that. But I think that you should also be mindful of not necessarily calling your clients or patients terms that you haven't discussed with them, even terms of endearment. So I think that even if the grandchildren or somebody calls them Bubby or Granny or something like that, you must ask and be mindful of how they want to be called by you. And it might be different than what they're called by other people in the family and so on. Every culture has its different ways of solving conflict, we said. Well, yes. Hopefully being open. And every culture has ways of expressing emotions and talking about emotions. And we always recommend doing that. Margareta Tavili.
We also spoke with you about visas, and something actually I remember you asked during our first meeting, and I promised that it would be answered during the program. So, but still reminding you that in general, visa for foreign caregiver will not be extended for additional periods after 51 months. You need to know that if you worked for the same person, took care of the same person for more than a year before 51 months, then your visa will be extended for another year. And if the case is the opposite, you will still have an opportunity to extend your visa, but you will be registered in your placement agency as temporary worker, not as a constant worker, and you will replace basically workers who will go for vacation abroad, etc. So you will be, switching and moving between employers, and that is basically it. I would also maybe worth to mention that if you took care of the person for more than a year before 51 months, and then the visa was extended, and still the person after 63 months visa again was the visa was extended up to 63 months. Then if after 63 months need still needs the care, so there's also a way to extend your visa, but then it will be only for work for this specific person. And whenever this person will not need more care, if he or she will pass away or something will changes, then you will need to leave the country. And we also discussed that if you're overstaying your visa, the money can be deposited from your not deposited taken from your deposit. So you should be mindful of that. We talk with you when if you decide to change employer, you need to first of all, you need to give this a very sincere try, but you don't need the permission to do that after you give a real and sincere try. But you need to know that you need to give a prior written notice, both for family and the person that's taken care of, and also the placement agency. And we discussed it during the record. How much time ahead you need to do that, because still family need to need to assist the specific person to get additional assistance, to get replacement, being able to continue the life and function as well. When we spoke about rules and obligations or limitations related to workers, to caregivers, foreign caregivers, like you are, we talk about, first of all, as I said in previous, showed in the previous slide, you need to provide written notice, not only just inform all the sides, but also do it in a written way. We spoke about geographic limitations, areas for changing employers. Yeah, we'll talk about central Tel Aviv area and periphery area. So each of them has its specifics. And we also talk about special supervision for foreign caregivers who frequently changes the employer. You should know that as well. And we also talk that it's very important for you to register, always registered by licensed placement agency. So you're also allowed to switch not only employer but your agency, but you need to be registered in one of them, and you need to make sure that this agency has a license. And if you're not sure, you can also check it with a call center, for example. And the last rule that we put here, sorry for the noise, related to the pandemic situation, to COVID-19 situation. It is important to be aware of new guidance of Ministry of Health, and I would say even to follow up with on a regular basis. Israeli Ministry provides updates very often, especially when the situation is not as we all learned, it has waves. So when the waves is increasing, it's very important to follow up, but it's just for your patients, your clients' health, and your health. And but also when the situation is improving, it's also important to know, because then you might do some activities. And so we strongly encourage you to follow up with and to know the details of the situation. It's very accessible in English, so you can just do that. We also had shared with you a record on call center, how it works and how you can leave complaint. We explain also the mechanism, how the complaint being treated. If it's a request for information, then you're being provided with information relatively speaking soon. If it's a complaint, so the complaint will be forwarded to relevant investigating department and different in relevant ministry. Sometimes one complaint has a few topics and few things that need to be checked, and it can be divided to different departments. But then in the end, you will receive a response update from the call center what happened with your complaint, and also you can be in touch and follow up on that. Sarah, I'm passing you back the floor. Sarah, you're on mute.
So if we review what we spoke about, building and developing relationship with our patient or client, we spoke about creating good communication, coordinating our expectations, building trust, creating the caregiving alliance, and taking into account social and cultural components. Absolutely important. It's important to remember that tools for effective communication, understanding how others communicate can be a key to getting your message across to them in order to develop effective communication style. A few tips to keep in mind: take ownership, use the I statement, maintain eye contact if you feel comfortable with it, voice your needs and desires confidently. Don't forget to smile. It always makes things easier. That's my favorite line in the whole presentation. To smile. Okay. Active listening, very important. Active listening, find out what your patient's opinions, thoughts, and emotions are, and try not to make assumptions, and verify, what if you understood what they wanted to say. And I always think that it's important to use the words that they used in order to give them the affirmation that they've been heard. And reflection, in order to make sure you understood what your patient meant, try to reflect by saying, I understand, or I see, and ask if you didn't, what he meant. Empathy, try to empathize to your patient even if you don't agree. And of course, not be judgmental. If people behave in a certain way, perhaps they've had, reason. The I message, when you talk about your opinion and thoughts, use the word I. Yes, it's not an absolute truth. It's your truth. It's what you think and feel. And it's important to be present, to present yourself in a real, honest, and sincere way. And then that's the tools that we all carry with us in our toolbox in our profession. Next slide. Margareta.
It has a delay already.
Oh, it has? Okay. So what are the tools? Patience. Very important to be patient. Be very patient with your family and also with your client. And I always think that the client is not just one person that's disabled. It's always has to do with other people in the family that are involved in giving care. And so you're joining a team of caregivers, and usually there's a division of, within the family. One person takes care of the medical process, another person may take care of the financial process, learn who's who, and I always recommend that you take the initiative and also give them a report, even if they kind of ask every so often, how are you and what's going on? But take the initiative once a week to call or do it online through the internet, get everybody's internet, and give them a report. Everything was good or some things weren't, and so on. Tolerance, even if you don't agree with your patient, try to be tolerant, respect his opinion. And nonverbal communication, this is what we spoke about a little bit. And I always think this is very important, to be mindful of our tone of voice, the reflection in our voice, the pace that we speak, our facial gestures, and our whole body mannerism. All of those things communicate if we're there, if we're not, if we're angry, if we're tense, if we're calm. And I think that influences our clients even more so, because English is going to be the main communicating language. And I assume that it isn't your first language, and I would assume that it wouldn't be the first language of your clients. And so already 30% of communication is jeopardized. Next, Margareta. So tips for creating a good relationship: be mindful of how you start a conversation. Ask questions. Use I statements specific in the message that you want to transfer, and give others the attitude that you want to receive. I think those are all very good tips to keep in mind. Culture shock.
Yeah, it's just continuing in the same line. As you remember, it also what happened yesterday. We spoke in the morning about emotions, and then, as I promised, we moved to another part, which also has to deal with the to very specific extent with our emotions, especially those that we feel and experience whenever we dive into a different culture in a different country. So yeah, it's inevitable, and all of us have some sort of culture shock. So the first thing to assist yourself to deal with it is to realize that it might happen. And then there are a few additional tips what you can do just to improve your feeling. One of them is to be a tourist, travel and learn about the country, which again we strongly encourage, and not just for just to entertain you. We provide you as they call it virtual tour, but also as a a thing that will also help you charge your batteries and feel better and get more familiar with the place that you are. To learn Hebrew, both for practical reasons, but also for a better feeling. Again, and develop a social life and meeting people. Be proactive about your physical health. Pay attention to your diet, hygiene, and get regular rest, exercise, and relaxation. Yeah, it's all very important. Also, Sarah talked about it very a few times, as I can recall during our meetings. For you to being able to provide a good care, physically and emotionally, you also need to, to treat yourself well. Otherwise, it would be just impossible. Another tip was to keep a diary or blog and social nets. And again, as we understand, have some sort of interest or individual characters, but the main idea is for you to being able to, again, just to let these emotions, let things away, to vent, as we call. So if it's not blogging or social net, just find a friend that you can share with him or her this experience and feeling. And of course, to keep in touch with family and friends, and participate to possible extent now when all advanced apps and programs are allowed to even participate in some family events. Now, when we talk about communication with family in a distance, we also shared with you a few specific tips to set a specific time, day and hour, and duration. How long will you be available to talk to, and the family member, person that you want to be that you coordinate, setting a time, and make sure that there should be high quality communication with no interruptions on your end, on the other end, and try to avoid sorting out the relationship or any claims by texting each other. Leave these more complicated things that require some sort of checking and talking for a real opportunity to talk. At least visual communication. We understand that you can't see each other in person often, but leave those more complicated things for actual talk when you can see also each other, because written things can be interpreted different with different intonations and not what you mean. So again, those sensitive and complex things, it's better to leave for real communication. And you should also remember that long distance relationship, they have some sort of advantage. They're allowed to have more deep relationship. They don't have routine of throwing the garbage or things like that. So you can talk more about feelings on each side and share with them, and in deep your connection. And that's
Can I add something?
That's the review.
Please?
Please.
Can I add something? I just wanted to emphasize that the contract working with the family, usually it's with the family, but we know that coming here is to take care of the person, of the individual, a man, an old man or an old woman. But I want to emphasize that in most of the families, the family gets very involved in the care, whether we like it or not. If there is a family, they're part of the person that we take care of. And it's very, very important to build relations with the family. It's not that we are coming to take care of one person and that's it. They are inside, they are involved, they interfere, they say many things. And we have to learn that this is part of the deal, that the person is the person that we take care of, but his surrounding, his family, his close family is very involved. And I think that we should take that into consideration deeply than we think, because they're there and they want to take care of him and they want to know everything about him. And of course, they want to know everything about you and the person that you take care of. So it's one thing that maybe we should emphasize more and more.
Thank you, Yaakov. So we actually finished our review of the program. So if anybody feels like getting something or share something, it's the time. Because we didn't receive, I think, questions from you. So let us know. Yeah. So if not for the moment, then we will do a short break. But before then, Sarah wants you to ask to think of something, because we'll talk about after the break. So Sarah, would you like to? Would you? But just remember that your microphone is muted.
Right, now my microphone's good. Yes, I'd like if if you people don't mind, we'd like to have a short discussion and perhaps get to know each other a little bit better. Also, know that we hear some comments. Yes, go ahead, Margareta.
Just say that this time we'll ask you actually to speak, because because the question is more like to not just read the comments but really hear it from you, if possible.
Well, we just thought that perhaps you would like to share. And the question that I'd like everyone to think about is who's the oldest person they perhaps in their family or somewhere else in their community or in their other aspect of life, and how he's related to them, and something a little about them, so we kind of get a feeling of who are the elder people that you have in your life. And we'd appreciate it if you'd share a little bit with us. And we'll take a short break and then we'd like to hear about it.
Thank you. So yeah, we'll have a 5 minutes break, and after we'll get back, we would like you to share, please, answer for this.
Okay, Mom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we ready?
Okay.
So, do you want to repeat?
Yes, so the question that I asked is everyone to think a little bit, who is the oldest person they have in their life or perhaps in their community or family, and if they'd like to share who that person is. Anyone?
I will start this for this time, just for a change.
Okay.
We can also can take turns start with you, because last time I think you started. So I'll talk about the people, family members from our life, not for passed away. So for the time being, the oldest person in my family is my grandfather, who is 48 years old, almost 40. I'm sorry, 84, and almost 85 soon. And I love him a lot. He's not living here. He lives in Russia, and he doesn't need a caregiver. He's taken care of by his wife, and he's taken care of her. So and I feel that they give a lot of strength and power to each other and support each other, and fun activities with each other. And and he's an example for me in terms of life and energy and approach to life. So yeah, after.
Wow, thank
The
you,
oldest.
Margarita.
Oh,
Yes.
no. Thank you.
So that's very encouraging. Hopefully you'll have a long life and healthy and energetic yourself. And
I hope so.
yeah, the life expectancy in Israel today, for people that don't know, is relatively high. I think we're number 10 in the world. And the average, it's about 82 or more, between 82 and 83. For women, I think it's 80, 82, 80 or 82. From the opposite. For men, it's a little less, and for women, it's a little more. Maybe for men, it's 80 for 82, and for women 84. So the average is about 83. Anyone else like to share about the oldest person they know in their family or in their community?
Yes, my mother is 74 years old. A little bit he has forgot something, but it's okay. He recall. Later he will recall, and then later he forgot. And he has also maintenance for the sugar like this. So, but still she can take shower and change and can make some washing clothes because he like to do that one so he can have an exercise.
Does she live on, your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
I ask if she lives alone.
Alone ba siya?
Alone?
No, she's with my daughters.
With your daughters. Oh, okay. So she has a lot of.
I have two daughters and son. He's with my children. Yeah, he's not alone.
So, okay, so she has a support system, and we all know how important that is, to have a support system, especially
Yes.
when you're older. Okay, thank you, Emmy. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else would like to talk about someone in their family, in their life?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, somebody started to share with us.
It's me, Christian. Good, good afternoon. My experience, I had my experience taking care of both of my parents, my mom and my dad, uh, for more than 10 years. So my mother died in 2011, while my father died in 2017. I took care of them for more than 10 years.
Wow, that's very difficult. And how old were they when they passed away?
My mother died first. She died when she was, I guess, as far I remember, 76 years old when she passed away.
And your dad too?
And my dad, he was 75 years old when he died.
Yeah, well, taking care of parents is a very difficult job. Sometimes it's harder to take care of our own family than it is for strangers because we're so emotionally involved. And the changing of the roles, that we are the caregivers and not them taking care of us and so on, that makes it very difficult. In Hebrew, we say kol hakavod. It's, all the power to you for being there for them and for helping them at that part of their life. Okay, now you're a professional. 10 years experience is very good.
Yeah, I learned a lot from, I learned a lot. Actually, it wasn't my first choice. When my sister went to UK, she advised me to take care of our parents. So actually, I was that time I was applying for abroad as an electrician. So I nearly passed the interview. But then I received a call from my sister to take care of our parents. So I had no choice but to listen to her
So you,
to
so you,
to take on that task
and you made
to
a
give
career.
care to parents.
Okay, big decision in your life, and you made a career change. You were an electrician,
Yeah.
trained as an electrician. Okay,
Thank you very much for sharing.
yes, thank you. Anyone else would like to talk about someone in their family, in their life?
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Hi, hi.
I would also like to share my experience based on when I was 18 years old, I hired by my neighbor as their helper to take care of their house chores, and my neighbor are I think there are Seventh Day Adventists, and I think that that was the good choice of them because they did not eat meat. So I think that it helps them a lot in so they have a long life. I think now they're all 90
Hmm, nice.
90 years old. They also they also um what's it, the Shabbat? Yes. Ano yung tawag dun, parang di,
Seventh Adventists, they also had Shabbat.
yes.
Ah, really?
Yes,
Seventh Day Adventist.
Seventh Adventist religious is they have Shabbat. They didn't eat and the meat and everything. They make fasting also.
Oh, wow. So they're Jewish. How
Yes.
interesting.
Jewish.
And
Exactly, ma'am. Exactly. Yeah.
energetic.
100%, but almost like this. Yes.
Ah, so you were, so your neighbors, and how old were you when you first started to help them?
18 years old, ma'am.
18. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So you were first.
They are too energetic, and that's the old woman. I think that she did do a lot of things every day, walking, exercising, even if she is old.
Oh, you're right. So we all
And
help
I
her.
really admire her.
So who takes care of them now that you are here?
Maybe now they are abroad.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Very
Thank you.
interesting.
Thank you for telling us about that family. Okay. And your experience. Would someone else like to share?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
This is Cecil. I would like also to share my experience before I came here in Israel. I am the one who taking care both my parents. They are already 80 years old. Uh, I am the one who taking care of them. The 24-hour care routine. I am because my mother diagnosed of kidney failure. So I am the one who give proper medication and also checking their monitoring and checking their vital signs every day because they're also diagnosed of hypertension. Uh, 3 year but now when I came here in Israel, my mother already recovered from her liver failure. So that's why I applied now in Israel.
So you become a professional through your home care experience.
Because of my parents'
I
experience for
see.
them.
Good. All right. So who's taking care of them now?
Thank you, ma'am.
Who takes?
Now my youngest sister,
Very
my
good.
parents know.
Okay. Thank you, Cecil, for sharing that.
Welcome, ma'am.
Okay. I would also ask if anyone wants to share one of the things we haven't talked about in our presentation, but perhaps you've had an experience as someone that would like to share about taking care of a person with dementia, which is a very, very difficult situation. And if someone would like to share about their experience taking care of a person with dementia, we'd like to hear about that.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Jillian.
Lynn. I'm Jean Lynn. Yes, I want to share my experience with my mother. With my mother, had a dementia, and then after that, she got Alzheimer's, dementia, Alzheimer's, and that's the cause of her death. Taking care of her is very difficult because she knows she knows that who is her, her children, but they don't know. When she pays her children,
She didn't recognize
she
them.
doesn't know. Yeah, no, she's not. She doesn't recognize, but she know what's the name of her children. Only the, but the yes. Um, Taking care of her, taking a bath, it's very difficult. And I she had a favorite brother, and I have a technique for her for taking bath of her. I I always ask her favorite brother. I told her, we go to to your brother, Uncle Edot. You want to go their place? You want to see him? And she loves to hear the name of her brother, and she smiled. And then
She was more cooperative.
yes, even this feeding, and I always do that.
Okay.
And she even the medicine, she doesn't like to take her medicine, and always tell her there's brother. That's the technique. And I think that taking care of dementia, the patient had dementia is know what his or her favorite or interesting activities. I think it's help to him to accept what he wants to do, and it helps to follow to him if we want to taking bath of her or feeding or
It helps
anything.
them to cooperate with what needs to be done. Thank you, Julian. Yes.
Yes. And yes,
Jillian.
Jinlin. Yes. Yes. My mother's in 5 years until she got dementia, Alzheimer's, and then she passed away last
And how old was she?
2014.
Not so old.
72.
Yeah, pretty young. So she was
Yes,
quite
not
young when she
yes,
had it,
yes.
when she first became. You know, we didn't talk a lot, 65, very young. We didn't talk about dementia
Yes,
much, but usually it's very difficult to take care of people and getting their cooperation. And I think that in our previous talk, I stressed how the emotional part of our job takes a big part in our in the way that we try to get people to cooperate with us. And you know that when there are people with dementia, it has nothing, the way to speak to them is not through logic, right? The way to speak to them is through feelings. So like you said,
yes.
when you know that she likes an uncle or a person of this one or that one, or she likes to do something or eat something or whatever, then you can kind of manipulate the situation in order, you know, through knowing what she likes and what she doesn't like, how to enable her to feel good and to cooperate. This is very important. It truly is. Kol hakavod, we say in Hebrew. So you've had a lot of experience, important experience. Okay. Would anyone else like to share something about their experience? Okay.
think, yeah, if somebody feels like adding something, you can, let us know. We don't also want to push you, but I just want to thank everybody for sharing and active participation. Yakov, you want to say something? Maybe not.
Okay.
So maybe I'll move a little bit forward with the things that we didn't, didn't cover yet, but we left for the last part of the meeting. Just 1 second. So we didn't receive your questions, but you actually were very good participants, and you shared with us both questions and thoughts during all the whole sessions. So it is totally fine. We just wanted to tell you that even though the quarantine week is about to be over, even though some of you will do taste a little bit later, and it's also okay, don't panic. It will happen to all of you sooner or later. We just want to remind you to stay in touch. We in the very first day we asked you and suggest you to register in the call center. And you can also contact call center for information or to leave a complaint. And you can also see here a phone number and the link how you can do that. And of course, we also stay in the Viber group. So use this resource not only to be in touch with you, but also with the colleagues, yourself, among yourselves, to take advice, from a friend. It's also very important. And after this meeting, we'll share with you questionnaire, the form that will have a few questions. It's very short. It will ask you to invest about a minute to provide you feedback on the program. Topics that we shared with you, dilemmas. To let us know what you think of that. If you think that something should be added or improved, it's really important for us. Now you're, as you call it, fourth batch from the first round, but we're still experiencing as the first round, and we're learning and we're trying to improve and in between slides and for bigger groups. So it is really, really important for us. Yeah, maybe I'll add to that. I said it before, but I think it's it's always good to just repeat, because I think we learn from each other a lot. So it's very good that you shared with us, your thoughts and your experience during the program, because it's not only, it was not one-way communication. It's really important, and also important for you to hear each other and learn from yourself. Sarah, would you like to add something? Sarah, your microphone is muted, traditionally.
Yes, no background noise from me. Yes, I just want to wish everyone, to have a good experience in Israel with the family, and to travel, and yes, to stay healthy. We're very trying times these days all over the world, and in Israel, the pandemic is, like I said before, in my family, we feel it very, very deeply. So stay well, and yes, and stay healthy.
Yeah, I will maybe add to that to
Can we have virtual picture, please?
Oh, we can do the gallery. Wait a second.
You can share it with the.
I'll put you in the
Viber.
group, but please,
Thank you.
you should know that some of the cameras are off. 1 second, how I can do that? Wait a second. I'll close this. No, not this one. So this and this one, and we'll have it full screen. Everybody's such a good participants. Everybody open their cameras.
Oh, wow.
Gosh.
Good.
And wait a second, I have second screen here for the same very same purpose. 1 second, I can Just a minute. Just wait a minute.
Okay.
One, and we'll have it to 1 second. 1 second. I have many technologies running at the same time on my computer, so it's sometimes a bit challenging for me. Okay, one more time. And let's see. I think we're good. So what I wanted to say before we came to the pictures, I want to wish you, we talk a lot about patients in terms of the work, caregivers, but also I will apply it maybe just to, to your adaptation. Yeah. So, first time is a first month, very, very challenging, more challenging than the rest. Even though they have, highs and it also can be as a curve or as a waves, but still just be patient and, remember that all the hard times will pass and you will be able to get through it. And how I wish you just to, to achieve our goals and things that you planned to happen here. And and to success in that, to succeed. Yeah, that's my
Welcome to
side.
Israel, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.